Have you ever wondered how a powerhouse athletic program manages their athletic and creative branding? With over 1,000 athletes across 36 sports, a staff of hundreds of employees, and dozens of teams, it takes a strong leader to make sure visual communication, color schemes, branding are all in point to become the very best in the country. Andy DeVito is the director of creative and branding at The Ohio State University. Any of the biggest projects you've seen that represent the scarlet and gray have probably passed through his hands. A few notable ones include Buckeye Inclusion, Gene Smith Leadership Academy, and OSU NIL, and not to mention the 100-year anniversary of Ohio Stadium. This conversation with Andy goes into his career trajectory, how he manages priorities with what can be a stressful job, how he manages teams, and what his day-to-day at work looks like. You're watching the Creative Journal, Entry 18. Thank you for tuning in this week, and without further ado, please welcome Mr. Andy DeVito. But can you kind of give us an overview of, your career? What led you to Ohio State, and kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis now?
Yeah. So, interesting background. So, my whole family is Buckeye fans, right? So, I had some aunts, uncles, brother went to Ohio State. I grew up just an hour and a half north of here, Shelby, Ohio, is where I grew up, and my first years of college, I went to the Mansfield branch at Ohio State, and I worked for the physical activity center there. And when I used to always do different things for my boss, and he came to me and approached me and said, hey, have you ever thought about graphic design? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure what it was. Back then I wasn't sure what it was. I mean, so just give you some context. Graduated high school 2001, so I'm going to school 2002 through six there. So
Okay.
this is 2003. He came to me and said that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that is. So I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the program in Mansfield, they didn't have a design program. So I moved down here to the Columbus campus after 2 years of the branch there. Moved down here actually with my girlfriend at the time, and now she's my wife. But got into the program. Was fortunate enough. I mean, they have a pretty rigid entry exam that you have to kind of go through. So I think there were over 100 people apply, and they only accept like 18 to 20 people each year. So
Wow.
fortunate enough that I was able to get in the program there, and
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I mean, I love design, and kind of led me to Ohio State and the department that I'm in now here in athletics. I did
Mm-hmm.
2 years of internship program while I was in school here in the
Mm-hmm.
department. Um, I grew up playing sports my whole life, so sports is in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get an internship with the athletic department. Like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. So learned a lot, and graduated. And as soon as I graduated, they just asked me, hey, we'd love to have you come full time to work with us. And didn't hesitate. Said, yep, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it led to where I am today. So I started 2007 in the department, and 16 years later, here I am. So kind of a little
Nice.
backstory of kind of where I am and how I got here today.
Yeah, they haven't been able to get rid of you, have they? Wow.
No, not at all. I know, man. It's funny though, because my wife always says, "Hey, have you ever looked at different things and whatever? Look at some different opportunities." And it's funny because I really haven't, because Ohio State is so unique as far as the people that we have here and the people that we hire. And truly, when you go and talk to anybody here at Ohio State, it's mostly what they say is the people here that we hire and work with. It's tremendous, and honestly, that's one of the main reasons I stayed, is because we have such awesome people here, and I love working here. Every single day is new and different.
Mm-hmm.
All 16 years I've been here, every single day is new and different. So,
Mm.
it's amazing. But yeah, it's definitely home to me. And someday maybe I'll be out of here, but for now I'm good with where I'm at.
That's awesome to hear. That every day is different for you guys.
Yeah.
And it's true about Ohio State too. I hear that a lot, not just from people in the athletic department. There's something about people that work there, people that are official, people that go there, students. There's something that they have a really strong alumni network. There's something that always ties them back. There's a lot of pride there for sure. But I kind of want to touch on your time at Mansfield because I thought that was really interesting.
Yep.
Um, you said it was a really stringent kind of design process. What was that like?
Yeah. So So Mansfield, like I said, that was, my first 2 years. I was undecided when I went to school, so I kind of started there just to get my feet wet. Say, okay, what do I want to do in college, right? What do I want to do with my life, right? Um, so Mansfield was kind of that stepping stone to me, and then once I got down to Columbus, that's kind of where that entrance exam is. So for how it works at Ohio State for the visual communication design program, is you have to take this entry exam, right? So really, it involved drawing skills. It involved branding. So picking a company to refresh and create something different and new. So there were
Mhm.
probably 4 or 5 different areas that we had to look into as far as what that exam required. Now, I'm sure 16 years later, it's completely different than when I went to school.
Mhm.
But it really, made me think about the different ways that visual communication can help support, just different companies, different brands, different people, and it
Mhm.
really got me intrigued. So that, just doing that itself really, helped me find my path of where I wanted to be in my life. So,
Mhm.
it was definitely nervous when I try to hear back from, if I was going to get in or not, because I didn't really have a backup plan. It was like, all right, I'm all in. Let's see what we can do.
Mhm.
So when I did get that acceptance letter, I was pretty pumped to say, okay, yeah, let's go, and let's do some good work. And it was awesome. I mean, I love the program here at Ohio State. They did some great work, and professors are great, and I continue to stay involved with professors, and
Mhm.
love chatting with those guys when we can. But yeah, that's kind of how that process worked.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard of a kind of a design-oriented program that's as stringent as that. A lot of the times I know at Finley and other schools, I actually didn't go to school for design. I went to school for strength and conditioning. So I had
Oh, okay,
kind of
nice.
yeah, I kind of had a parallel and a career shift there. But it's yeah, I've never heard of a design program that was kind of that stringent, and I think that's a good experience. It sounded like it was a good experience for you, and I think kind of having those pressure situations, like especially like in a marketing kind of environment where a lot of your results are very performance based,
Right.
could be a good way to kind of prepare you for that. But I wanted to ask you kind of what your job now looks like. You said a lot of it is different from day to day, but how much time do you spend, interacting with professors versus students, or are you out of the office doing stuff on the job? Because I think you have a really cool kind of job. I kind of want to get a better feel for it.
Yeah, yeah. So I work directly with the athletic department. So we do everything for the Buckeyes. And my job, is involved for sure. Starting as a graphic designer here in the space, with our team, moving up as lead designer, and now like I am today, is kind of directing and being that director of our creative and branding team. So basically,
Mhm.
we have a team of designers here. That I have that, essentially what we do is we oversee the brand of the athletic department, which
Mhm.
means graphic, right? When we look at graphic, we look at visual communication. I mean, that is to the core of what we do. It's graphic design, right?
Mhm.
So yes, we create social media posts. We work with facility branding, all of the 28 different facilities we have, the competition venues we have, making sure
Mhm.
that everything is consistent, and everything when our fans come to our games, and that audience comes in, there's like making sure they understand, okay, yeah, we're at Ohio State. We create
Mhm.
some elite graphics. We tell the stories of our student athletes. We tell the stories and the history and traditions here at Ohio State.
Mhm.
So that's an area that we focus on. um, Apparel is another one. So all the uniforms,
Mhm.
we design and help support the design of all the uniforms for all 36 teams, which, 36 is the most in the country, which is
Yeah.
another crazy thing about Ohio State is, we, and Gene Smith, and our athletic director, really loves student athletes, and he is all about our student athletes and how we help support them in any way we can. So having
Mhm.
36 sports was something that he was really invested in, and even the athletic directors before that is, you know, given opportunities to student athletes to really do what they love within the sport and within education, right, and
Mhm.
academics. So the uniform design is really cool. It's a way that we can connect with our teams. Um, they can help build that with us, and it's a fun project. So that's an area that we focus on. Identity branding, of course, is another one. So when we come up with
Mhm.
different campaigns, so if this last one we did last year, if you're familiar with, was the stadium was 100 years old.
Mhm.
So I helped develop that mark, and we created a whole branding campaign around it. So helping with the whole visual toolkit, what does that look like? Sending that to retail, putting this whole program together. And honestly, that's probably one of my favorite projects I've ever done here at Ohio State is that
Mm-hmm.
100 years of the shoe. That was so much fun and so much collaboration within that. So really cool there. And then, I mean, other printed materials, and collaboration with other units that we work with. We have a content creators group that we put together here. So it involves our digital media team, our photo and video team, our communications team, and then our creative team here. So we get together monthly and just kind of talk about just different things. How do we continue to build the brand? How do we evolve the brand? How do we keep the brand strong?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things, and that is a challenge, with what we do and how I do it is we are so big, right? That it's how do you
Yeah.
manage the brand? Because
Mm-hmm.
you have so many people are creating different content for the brand. It's how do we make sure that it's consistent, it's on
Mm-hmm.
brand, all these different areas. So that group that I put together that we meet monthly, it's and that's what it's all about. Is just what are we doing, how are we doing it, and how do we be efficient with what we're doing it, but also
Yeah.
making sure that we're still exploring opportunities and doing unique work, but still fits
Mm-hmm.
into the brand, right? So that's the one thing I always do is like always challenge to push the envelope and to do unique, fun, different things, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
find a way to make it fit into the brand. So
Yeah.
uh, we always want to evolve, we always want to get better, and that's some of the ways that we kind of do that. So it's exciting right now. We've got a great team. I'm really pumped with where we are. I mean, we've got a lot of fun things coming up, in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's every day, like I said, and truly, like you said, everything is different. It's truly every single day has been completely different, which is why when I come to work, it's so awesome because I can
Mm-hmm.
have my schedule planned out, saying, all right, here's what I know I need to get done. But
Mm-hmm.
then when other things come up and different things happen, and then we get these new requests come in, it's like, all right, well, I got to shift focus a little bit. What can I do in this space? So it's
Mm-hmm.
fun, man. It's fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's one of the things I was going to ask you about, just because being so big and having so many different departments, I was kind of wondering what the collaboration and especially in a place like social media or everything, because you guys are very well known for getting stuff out fast. Like, especially like on social media, you'll see like Buckeyes score a touchdown, and everything looks
Yep.
very consistent, very on brand, and it's very recognizable in the scarlet and gray. And you guys do amazing work, especially even talking about the uniform designs. Um, just everything is it's what the standard of is the best in the nation. I'm not just saying that just because I'm talking to you or because I live in Ohio, but um, it's you guys do great work. So how do you kind of balance that? I want to go more into kind of because I know especially in higher level education, there's a lot of red tape as far as branding
Right.
and
Right.
stuff that can go into. I mean, I did an internship at Finley, and that was just digital media communications internship. And just between their design and social department and their marketing and visual communications department, there's a lot of red tape and stuff that goes on in there, and you have to get approvals, and everything has to be on brand, typography, colors, everything like that. So, being someone that at 100x scale than that, how do you kind of manage the collaboration between, say, photo, video, social media, graphic design, branding? How do you guys all kind of tie that together?
That's the $1 million question right there, Andy.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean it's so that's been one area that I've really focused on the past really 5 years. Is I pride myself on the collaboration and how we continue to do that within our units. So yeah, it's definitely challenging, no doubt, because we have, like I mentioned, we have digital media, our communications team, our photo video team. We actually just created a new department. It's just two people right now, but live events in our scoreboard and video board, and then
Mhm,
the screens that they do, and then our creative team, right? So we have the 5 units that essentially that we are, the content creators. So, um,
mhm,
making sure that we are all on the same page is key. So that's why we always, we're always meeting, talking about um, what we're doing, how we're doing things, and what's the best approach to do things.
mhm,
Um, Brie Gazmarian is kind of oversees our digital media, and she's fantastic. And they have a group of I can't remember how many full staff they have right now, maybe 3 or 4, but within that group they have students, right? So and that's a whole nother arm of what we do is there are our students and how we use them and not just use them, but how they help support us in what we do, right? So
Mhm.
this year the digital media team has hired I think like 20 to 25 students to assist with
Oh,
different things that we do, right? So yeah, I mean it's
wow.
huge. I mean last year I think they had like 10,
Yeah.
but Ohio State, excuse me, we pride ourselves on the student experience. How do we help students get to where they want to be, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of students are interested in digital media, social media. I mean, with what's going on in the world today, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt. So if they can do that for a prominent college like Ohio State, 100%, what can we do? How can we help them? So, it's a two-way
Yeah.
street where they're helping us, but we're also helping them with their skills and what they want to do in their life, down the road. So,
Mhm.
that's another piece that we look at is how do we support our students, but then also making sure that they're doing great work, right? Because
Yeah.
our work is only as good as that lowest rung, like as you know. So so how do we
Mhm.
continue to make sure that they're set up for success and doing some great work? So that's another just pinpoint there as far as making sure that our students are set up for success to help us out there.
Mhm.
We meet, like I said, that content creators meetup is a great area that we kind of connect with, and making sure that that collaboration is a big piece. But then you talked about the university as a whole, and yeah, I mean there's definitely red tape. There's no doubt. But being here
Mhm.
for 16 years, I've really understood how to navigate that.
Mhm.
So I have some great partners in the Office of Marketing Communications with the university side. We've had awesome collaboration with those guys. I love interacting with those guys.
Mhm.
Um, so Jackie Abrig, who oversees a lot of the branding for the university, love talking with her, and when we have larger campaigns or the university's coming up with some new branding opportunities or whatever it might be, I make sure that we're seeing that and we're involved in kind of understanding how that works and how that plays into athletics world, right?
Mhm.
Because there's no doubt that athletics definitely has a different vibe than the academic side, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
one thing, and for example, one thing that we did is when we rebranded the university, 2014, I think is when it was, when we went away from the square, the Ohio State University mark to the Block
Mhm.
O. I was
Yeah.
involved in those conversations and part of that leadership team as far as creating that new branding. And one of the things that they did was look at the different colors, right? How do we, for the scarlet and the gray that we use, yes, there's specific color, Pantone 200, Pantone 429 is what we use. But
Mhm.
what's that RGB? What does that, look like? So um, here in the past couple years, we actually transitioned the scarlet to a little bit more of a true scarlet that I feel, and I had some impact in that space. But we did a
Hmm.
really big color study on, okay, what scarlet do we want it to be? Because to me, when we first had it, it was a little bit too yellow, and I'm like, all right, that's not really true scarlet.
Huh.
Because when you think about scarlet, you know what I mean? It's more. I guess you can look at my sweatshirt, but it's kind of more of the. It doesn't has a little bit of the cyan in it,
Deeper.
right? So
Yeah.
but in any case, just talking about the brand in general. So
Uh-huh.
talking with, those guys over there, it's always fun to kind of collaborate and figure out what's going on just from a higher level from the university and making sure that here in athletics we're consistent, we're following the same things, but knowing that it is also different, right? So fonts, for instance, like the
Mhm.
university has, our serif and our sans serif fonts. Um,
Mhm.
but within the athletics, you have to have a bold font. You have to have something that's
Yeah.
a bit unique. So we have a font that we use that's not exactly the same as the rest of the university uses, but they understand there is a need for it and there's a reason
Mhm.
for it. So it's just those little things where it's just making sure that they're understanding what we do, how we do things, making sure we're on the
Mhm.
same page. That kind of helps with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
I that was really interesting. Thank you for that. That just goes to show A, your attention to detail, and B, you kind of being in the community and the brand so long, starting as a designer, moving up
yeah,
to lead designer and everything. You have being in more of a leadership role now, you still have the foundations of everything about the brand from when you first started, and now you're in a more leadership role where you can distribute that knowledge and pass it down and make sure everyone's staying consistent.
100%,
So,
man, 100%. Yep, for sure.
what is your job? What you do now? How is that kind of taught? What has that taught you about leadership? Like,
Yep.
because you have a ton of students, a lot of, and from what I gather about you, you really value giving back. You value the mentorship side of it. I know there's a couple programs at Ohio State that I'd love to give you a platform to talk about. But how do you see your role as a leader now, and how do you value that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So as a leader of my team, there's, my primary focus is really to build up my team. That's my primary focus, is how do I make them feel valued. So the one thing that I like to do is how to, identify these opportunities. I mean, one, it's talking to them. I mean, every day we talk, and whatever it is, whether it's about design or if it's about their personal life, whatever it might be, just interacting with them to understand who they are as a person, but then also where do they want to go? What do they want to do? So
Mhm.
to me, that's always the biggest thing, is understanding that and knowing that, okay, well, she wants to be a creative director someday. All right, what can I do in my space, in my capacity, to help her get to where she wants to be?
Mhm.
So like I said, my role is just making sure they feel valued, and understanding and looking at those opportunities for them. Um,
Mhm.
transitioning from a designer to the lead designer to the director, and having more of that leadership role, it's definitely important to make sure that, one, yes, your still primary focus is strengthening the brand at Ohio State. I mean, that's it, right?
Mhm.
But 1A is building the team, making sure the culture is great, and making sure they love coming to work every day. And yeah, sometimes it's challenging, no doubt. And I've learned my lessons throughout the years of, how do I continue to build that, and what's the best ways to do that.
Mhm.
Fortunate, here at Ohio State, like I mentioned, the resources we have, and in the leadership we have. I mean, I can go to, some of my peers and say, hey, what's the best way that I can handle this situation? And we have some great feedback. Uh,
Mhm.
so so being able to do that, I mean, is really, what also makes me love to come here to Ohio State is giving them those opportunities, finding those opportunities, and seeing them grow from where they were to where they are now. I mean, we just hired a couple new designers last year, and it's amazing just after 1 year how far they have come. Not only just their skills, but their
Mhm.
soft skills as well. Their communication, how they're communicating to clients. I don't like to say clients; I like to call them partners, but essentially it's
Mhm.
all the different units within athletics that we support. Um,
Mhm.
but how they engage with them, how they interact with them, the questions they ask, right? So it's all about that design process, and how we as visual communicators can help support each of the different units and all the different teams that we service. So seeing them grow is a huge reward in my eyes. Um,
Mhm.
and I think you were touching on this as well, like the student internship program that we have here. Is another area that I really feel a lot of pride in how we continue to develop that. And hopefully the students feel the same way. I mean,
Mhm.
we try to really build a culture, build a foundation for them, that they can always come to my office, ask any questions they want, right? My door is always open. That's how I always am. I'm a transparent leader. I'm always going to tell you how things are, but I always want feedback as well, how I can get better. Um,
Mhm.
so with our students, it's the same way. It's how do we help support them get to where they want to be, whether it's the skill set, whether it's, okay, here, I see that you are interested in motion design. Here, come talk to these people and they can help you with that, and help you better that skill. Or
Mhm.
here, I want you to lead this project. You can communicate directly to the client and work with them. And that way that'll help build your communication skill, right? So all these
Mhm.
different areas we're really looking to do in building not only the designer, but the person, so that way they can really grow, and once they graduate, they're ready to go. And that's the other thing too. And I'll stop after this, but um, seeing where our students have gone and where
Mhm.
they have had opportunities and jobs after graduation, it's like I feel that I've had a part of that, right?
Yeah.
So we've had, students in the past, like they're leading their own company right now. Lacey Picasso, I don't know if you guys know her, but I mean, she's huge right now in Columbus, one of the best, leading creative leaders in Columbus right now. And
Mhm.
she did great work, and she worked with us. And I love that she did. And maybe she would say this, and maybe not, but I feel like what we've helped provide her, just a little bit of guidance, maybe helped her to get where she is, where
Mhm.
she started, I should say. But just different instances like that, and seeing where these students have gone. And yes, Ohio State in the program 100% contributed to that. But I feel that the year or two that they're with us, the most that we can get out of them to show them that real world experience is what we're trying to achieve. So if we
Mhm.
do that in the smallest way possible, then it's success in my eyes. So
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. You can tell you're really passionate about that, and I mean, it comes back to you too. Like you see all these successful students, and they, I'm sure they have nothing but kind things to say about, their time there and everything that they learned, and having a part to play in that is, I imagine, super rewarding. So,
Absolutely, man.
um,
Absolutely.
said Lacey Picasso,
Yeah,
is her
yeah.
name?
She's a
Okay.
beast. She is good. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we might have to have her on the show. She sounds like a high performer for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend her. She's really good.
Mhm.
Has
Yeah,
built
and
a
kind of
great team.
yes. Awesome. Well, kind of branching off that, you interact with a lot of students. You went through the program yourself. You took the steps. You did all the rules like we talked about. What are kind of what are the traits, the habits, the skills that you see in your most successful people that you mentor that go through the program? People that ki-
Yeah.
are most successful in, the creative industry, whether it's at Ohio State or anywhere else that you think would be good values to have.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. The biggest thing is one is communication. I think, and that's everything in life, right? You can point that all back to communication, relationships, partnerships, whatever it might be. So someone who is willing to ask questions as well. And when I say communication, it's also asking the questions because sometimes, and we've in the past, and we've had this, we've had students where they would come in, they would do their work, and they would leave. You know,
Mm,
I'm like, well, are you really trying to get anything out of this internship? What are you trying to do? Or are you just
mhm,
trying to get paid? You know what I mean? So
mhm,
we try to show them the value of yes, you want to get paid and you that helps support what you're trying to do and with rent and whatever else you need it for. But also make sure that you're getting the most out of these internships and these opportunities that you are afforded to have.
mhm,
Um, so, you know, the communications is a big one. Willing to learn is another one. Is knowing that I don't know everything, right? Coming as a student, so making sure that hey, if my boss wants me to try a motion design project, all right, well, I've never done it before, but how can I? What do I need to do to learn that specific skill?
mhm,
So that's again going back to asking the questions. Hey, I'd love to do this, but can you help me get to where I need to be? Is like absolutely, we can help you with that space. So
mhm,
willing to learn is another one. Punctuality is a huge one to me. It's
mm.
making sure that you're on
Yeah,
time
yeah.
or
There's that athletic side coming out of you right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%, man.
Mhm,
I'll tell you
mhm,
what, and it's true because athletics is a different beast. I'm telling you, and I've
mhm,
have had now, I've only worked in athletics, so I don't know everything, but I've had enough experience in as far as others, peers, colleagues in the industry that I've heard from
mhm,
that it's completely different. I've just recently had somebody that just took on a new job, and the pace is so much different, man. We are
mhm,
juggling 100 projects all the time, whereas in the freelance world or the agency world or wherever else. I'm not saying you don't because they do as well, but it's just a different beast. But anyway,
mhm,
but punctuality is a big one to me. Is just let me know that you're going to be here when you're going to be here. Make sure you're on time because that translates to the real world, then, right? Because if you're late for
mhm,
work or you're always late for this or this and that and the other, I mean that's a big red flag where it's like, all right,
mhm.
well, do you really respect not only the company you're working for, but your supervisors and everybody else? So that's a
Yeah.
big one. And then just if I'm thinking about, what other areas there are, it would just be, um, you know, your willingness to help and your willingness to, I guess, meet with others, talk with others, grow as a
Mhm,
person. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Don't just think about this as yes, this is a design internship. It's about growing you as an individual and as a professional. So the idea of just keeping your eyes open um and knowing that no matter what experience I have, it can help me in my path of where I want to be. So I think
mhm.
that's another area that I always look at.
Awesome. That's a lot of actionable stuff that I think anyone can apply, especially the punctuality. Like, I'm a big fan of the phrase, like, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, that's good.
And if you show up too late, and I have some really negative self-talk sometimes, but I never want to be I'm a very perfectionist, especially in being on time and doing all that thing. Because as soon as you see a small thing start to slip off like that, it can really bleed off into other areas of your life. So it's important to do the small things right, so you can do the big things right. But
100%, man. 100%.
yeah, I really appreciate that for
And the
sure.
other thing too, I mean, and I just recently we had a supervisors session that I was attending, and one of the big things they talked about it was the best job is your current job. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
it's so true. It's like so many people are trying to get promoted, and what's the next thing? You know what I mean? And they're looking past what they're currently doing. So that was awesome advice that I got. Is like, all right, to be the best and to get to where I want to be, you have to be the best now, right now with your
mm,
current job. You know what I mean? So making sure that you're doing as much as best you can with what you're doing, and then also identifying gaps. Because I think that's the other area where we are starting to strive a little bit more and really identifies, okay, what are the gaps that we currently have, and how do we go about finding solutions to those gaps?
mm,
For instance, one of the things, gaps that we found is we're getting last minute requests from a lot of coaches, from a lot of units. It's like, all right, rather
mm,
than getting those requests and just, okay, all right, I'm going to knock it out, even though I know you wanted the next hour, the next day, or the next 2 days, whatever it is. Okay, what's the solution to that gap? Whereas, okay, all right, we don't like last minute projects. No one likes them. You know what I mean? So what's the solution? So what we came up with are these content calendars. So essentially, we said, all right, let's figure this out. So what we do now is with our teams, we call it 60, 30, 60, and 90 days, which I pulled from Caleb Clark, who's our director of our marketing team. He kind of took this and I kind of branched off and used it for our team. But essentially what it is you're meeting with the coaches 90 days out from when their first game starts, right? And you're talking
mm,
about, okay, what's the culture of your team? What are you trying to achieve? What do we want to do? Here's what we did last year. How can we improve on it, right? So we build out these
mm,
creative calendars so that way we don't have all these last minute requests come up like, hey, there's a coach that's going to get her 200th win, tomorrow. Can you knock this out tonight? It's like, well,
mm.
you knew that was going to happen
Yeah.
last year. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know what I mean? So it's just
Mhm,
those things. So we build out these calendars so that way, all right, we're going to have a new uniform in next year. Let's start thinking about it now. We're going to have signing day coming up in November. Let's start thinking about that 6 months in advance. What are we going to do? What's the look for that design? What are we going to do with emotion? All this stuff. So these
mhm,
calendars have really helped us. So that way it has eliminated the amount of requests that we get last minute. There's always going to be some, we get it,
mhm,
but it has helped reduce that. So that way, one, it helps the coaches. Two,
mhm,
it allows us to do better work. And
mhm,
three, it really allows our communications team to not stress as much to figure out, okay, well, I got to work in the middleman as the coaches and with you guys as far as, hey, they requested this and now we have to knock it out in 2 days. So
yeah.
it's been awesome to really get that set up and help, identify some of those gaps and help us, kind of move forward.
Yeah, I love that. Forward thinking, backwards planning. I mean, especially when you're dealing with so many different people, you have to have boundaries and guidelines like that. And that's something I imagine the coaches appreciate
For
that you
sure.
guys can benefit from a lot. And yeah, it sounds like a great system. But
Yeah, absolutely.
um, yeah, man, that's awesome. I really appreciate your time today. Actually, I'm on my lunch break right now, so I didn't want to pass up the chance to talk to you, man. But I got a couple of rapid fire questions if you want to end off strong. But
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
what's favorite sporting event, Buckeye sporting event to go to?
Football, no doubt.
Football. Okay.
And it's got to be a
Uh,
big game because those games where it's like Western Kentucky and these other things,
yeah,
it ain't the same,
yeah.
man. I'm telling you, those people. If you go to a game like that, but then you experience a Penn State that we just did,
Uh
it's
huh.
night and day, dude. Night and day. So those
Right.
big games cannot beat.
I know. That's what I was telling Dad. Like, I'm in Marysville, and it's not too far from. It's about 30, 45 minutes, and everything shuts down. Whether it's Western Kentucky or Oregon or any Penn State, but yeah, I totally understand. A totally different environment for sure.
Oh yeah.
But what's the best Buckeye game you've gone to? Football game, most
Oh,
memorable.
it would probably be what was it? 2 years ago, Penn State when we beat them.
Okay.
It was
Yeah, I
with my
remember that game.
buddy, and I rushed the field with him. It was funny, like, I've never
Oh,
rushed the field
nice.
before, but we're like, "Dude, let's just go. Let's just get down there." You know what I mean? It was so much
Yeah.
fun just to go down there and hang out and
Uh-huh.
just feel that experience, but, that was
Yeah.
probably my most memorable one. I still won't forget Texas when they came in here and beat us in the last on the
Uh-huh.
last drive. I'm like, that's a bummer one that I remember with my wife,
Mhm.
but yeah, Penn State was definitely an awesome one.
Yeah. quick side story about that. Rushing the field. My dad was a police officer growing up. He worked in Heber Heights, Wayne,
Yeah.
and they have some of the craziest high school sporting events. And I remember I used to go to football games and basketball games with him because they're one of the best D1 teams, high school teams in the state. So they'd have a lot of college matches or a lot of college coaches and recruits and everything. So there would be
Yeah, yeah.
it would be packed crowds. And I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, just standing with him on the sidelines. And he looked me and I said, "Son, promise me never rush the field after a sporting event. I don't care if you're in college, I don't care if you're in high school. This
Yeah.
makes it suck for people like me." And I was okay, I'll never do it. But I
Yeah.
mean, you can't blame kids like that. I mean, it's part of the high school, part of the
Oh,
college
100%,
experience.
man.
So,
Yeah, yeah, and
but
yeah, sometimes it get dangerous for sure, but we went after the whole crowd was there, so it a little easier, like, we'll just walk in here and do
yeah,
it.
it's like we're not rushing the field. We're
No,
just
yeah, exactly.
hopping the
We're
fence and
yeah,
climbing
we're
on.
just
Yeah,
walking down the field. We're not
yeah,
rushing.
yeah. What is Okay, I had another rapid fire question here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what what sports do your kids play?
I love it. I love it. I could talk about my kids all day.
Yeah, I
So
was
I've
also
got
saving it for the end.
Yeah, no,
But
I appreciate that. So I have a
mhm,
son, Aidan, who's 8th grade, and he plays baseball and basketball. So it's the same sports I played growing up, baseball,
okay,
basketball. So he's loving it. He's loving it. Getting into basketball season right now, so he's excited to hopefully make that middle school team. And then my
mhm,
daughter, Addie, she is freshman, which is wild to think. I've got a dating freshman. It's crazy. But she
oh,
played all the sports. I mean, she played volleyball, basketball, and softball in middle school. And then for freshman year, she's just sticking to softball and basketball.
okay,
So yeah, I'm excited, man. It's fun. They're
yeah,
they're good little athletes, man. It's competitive around our space in our area.
mhm,
But they're I love and so I coach my son. So I've always coached my
mhm,
son basketball and baseball, and
okay,
truly that is like my most favorite time of my life
yeah,
is doing that and being with my kids and being with my family around sports. So
mhm,
being able to spend that time with my son is fantastic, and with my daughter, helping her and building her up. My wife actually coaches my daughter in softball right now.
okay,
So it was a family thing. But
yeah,
but my wife played all the sports growing up. In high school she did the volleyball, basketball, softball. So big sports family. But yeah, I appreciate you asking that because it's a lot of fun.
yeah, man, that's awesome. Any maybe get him playing golf. I would recommend. You guys ever head out on the golf course on the weekends or anything
Oh
like that?
yeah, yeah. So it's funny you say that because my son, we gave him some lessons probably about 4 or 5 years
Yes,
ago,
yes,
and he
golf is
actually
great.
loves golf, you know,
Okay,
because his buddy plays, but two of his buddies play golf, and he's like, Dad, what if I did golf?
dude, get him out there, man. Do it.
And he's a
Get him out
lefty,
there.
right? And he's a lefty, which is funny. So he
Oh
bats
yeah.
left-handed, he golfs left-handed, but he throws right-handed, which is
Okay.
interesting. Um,
That's how you want to be though, right?
yeah,
Baseball. I
right.
I know you did that on purpose. I know
That's
you did.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
But and I told him, I said, golf is a pretty awesome sport to learn and to play. So we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. I don't know if it interferes with the baseball season because I know he would definitely choose baseball over golf. But
Mhm.
if golf is a fall sport, then maybe he'll try out and go with it. But yeah, we definitely in the summertime we try to get out as much as we can. He's always asking me, hey, let's get out on the links and
Mhm.
shoot some golf there. So yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll be
man.
doing more of it. Did you play
Yeah, man.
or do you play?
Yeah, I played in college my freshman year.
Oh,
I
nice.
graduated I graduated in 2020 from St. Paris Graham, which is here. It's a small town in Ohio. And then went on scholarship to play in North Carolina and did that for a year. And
Oh, wow.
I had a really bad experience there. Like with the pro, it's a very competitive pro. It's Methodist University and
Okay.
in North Carolina. So they won D3 national championship like several times, and
Wow.
that's a very very competitive program in it. And it could really turn me off kind of that whole side of golf. But I still love playing and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But I transferred back to Finley and went a little closer to home, changed the major, and but yeah, it's golf is just it's not just for relationship purposes. Like you build so many good relationships, such a social sport.
Oh, yeah.
And I know at least where I went to school growing when I played in high school and everything, it was a fall sport, and we played. Our matches were 9 holes on weeknights, So and now they're transitioning a lot of it to just weekend tournaments, everything.
Yeah,
But that was just so good for me. That got me so hyped about it. Like, and you keep
that's
the
cool.
matches short like that. It's a great way to get kids into it, and you're playing in the fall when the weather's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, right.
But it goes well with any sport. It's not a risk for injury. That's why you see some wrestlers and football
Right,
players
right.
transition into it too. But yeah, I mean, I would really recommend for your kids and stuff. But it's a good thing to do kind of um with your kids too, because you can play with them, and I mean, you never outgrow golf, so
Yep,
you never get too old to play. But
for sure.
um yeah, man, that's all I had for you. Like I said, I really appreciate your time today, man. You're a super genuine guy. You have a really cool, awesome job. You impact a lot of people, and I mean, for you to make the time for me today, I can't say thank you enough. So,
Hey, man,
is there any place you would want people to go to learn more about you, or check you out, or your job, or anything at Ohio State you got going on?
I mean, I don't post a lot on social. I wish I did
Mhm.
more. Like you said, you don't see a lot of my work out there. I don't
Yeah,
post a lot of it. I mean, I'd love to do more, with that and kind of show more stuff that I do. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity of you, giving me this opportunity to kind of share, some thoughts on my experiences. And like I said, I mean, any way I can help and give back, pay it forward, as we say here at Ohio State, it's what I'm all about, man. So,
hmm
really appreciate that opportunity. And I think what you're doing here is fantastic. I mean, any way you can do these podcasts and help the creative industry, help grow and help young creatives, kind of get to where they want to be and build these connections and build these networks. It's fantastic. So kudos to you, my man, for doing all this stuff.
Thank you, man. I hope you feel like your time was valued today, and I'm sure it definitely will be by the audience as well. So, I mean, just a little bit of backstory. I write a blog. I'll do a couple of videos for this episode, and
Yep.
I'll be sending them out on social media and stuff. And I'll for sure be in touch with you when the podcast goes live and all the content from it does. So, like I said, man, I can't say thank you enough, and I hope maybe one day to have you back on for round two if you don't mind.
Absolutely, dude. Count me in, man. Count me in.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you again, and keep killing it, all right?
All right, buddy. Appreciate you, Andy.
Thanks, man.